Good evening. My name's Cliff Garsta Sr., and I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak with you tonight. As a fellow citizen, I know what you're looking for in your next president. I know where others have failed and some have succeeded. I believe I have learned from them, and I'm prepared to offer my experience leading this great country. First off, I'm not a politician. I'm your average Joe. Because of that, I know your doubts and concerns, and I'm prepared to address them as you would if you were here. I don't belong to either party, the Democrats or the Republicans, so I'm not in their clutches. I don't owe them or their special interest groups and donors your hard-earned monies as my opponents do. I report only to you, the American citizen. You elected me, and you are my boss, not some party hack who doesn't know what it takes to work 2 jobs just so you can feed and clothe your family. I want to address 2 concerns tonight. The first being insurance. The big thing in the news now is pre-existing conditions. I know about that. See, when I was born with a hole in my heart. And I had to go through all kinds of tests, as you can imagine. The doctors didn't give me much of a chance to live to my first birthday. Then I hit that. They said not by the second and the third and so on. I just happened to surprise them all. Now, what does this have to do with you, you say? Well, my father had a life insurance policy on my brother, sister, and I. But my policy said that if when I die and my heart stopped, they wouldn't pay out. Now, I don't know about you, but when I look in the dictionary, and death is usually when your heart stops. So, yes, I had pre-existing conditions that I had to deal with all the way back from birth. Insurance is just that, insurance. And I know the struggles that people who have pre-existing conditions have to deal with on a daily basis. Another thing is I have degenerative disc disease. I've gone through 5 laminectomies, 13 series of 3 facet injections, and 8 series of 3 epidural injections. In the beginning they worked. I was able to continue playing hockey. But recently they stopped working. I went to get another laminectomy this past January, but when I did the workup in December, the doctors discovered my spine wasn't able to support the rods and pins they were going to insert. So yes, I know about pre-existing conditions. I know the struggles that you have to deal with, and I can empathize with that. I know what losing coverage under Obamacare means to you. My policy went from $95 a month up to $635 a month. My co-pays went from $15 to $40, and not all the visits are covered anymore, so I have to pay the full price. My prescriptions went from $3 to $15, and some of those aren't even covered, so again, I have to pay higher co-pays for my prescriptions. So I know what your struggles are. In fact, I'm no longer able to get my prescriptions from my local pharmacy. I have to deal with a mail order house. In the beginning, they were sending me 3 months prescriptions every 2 to 3 weeks. And they were charging me for it. I'd call them up and tell them, hey, don't send this. But the next day or 2 days later in the mail, here comes another prescription with another bill. So I know what you're dealing with under this insurance policy. I want to work to change that. I want to work so that everybody has it simple. I can't go to the emergency room if I have chest pains anymore. I have to call my doctor, then go to urgent care, and then if they say so, I can go to the emergency room. When seconds count, I'm looking at hours. So the insurance and the mess that we're in needs to be dealt with. And and I have the experience firsthand to know what you're dealing with on a daily basis. I know the struggles that you have with that, and I can help you overcome those once I'm elected. The second issue I want to discuss tonight is your constitutional rights. That's also big in the news today, and the first two amendments are big. The freedom of speech and your right to keep and bear arms. Now I know it's said that without the Second Amendment, the other amendments don't count because nobody's there to protect them. But do you really have First Amendment rights? Can you really say what's on your mind without fear of repercussions from work or school, from being suspended or fined or worse, put in jail for what your true opinions are? And what about firearms? You know, people say they're dangerous, but I've had some guns in my safe that for 50 years now, and they've never shot anybody. You know, once they start eroding our First and Second Amendment rights, the other constitutional rights go away as well. Let's talk about safety and your Fifth Amendment. The right to not encourage yourself. You know, police now can come in and search and demand and lie to you, which is not a bad thing necessarily. But what are your rights? What are being eroded daily? Now, on the other side of the coin, I do want to allow the cops to do their job to keep us safe. But I want them to enforce all laws, not just those that are cherry-picked, like some have been done from the last president, where they've gone, in fact, and broken the laws to try to make people look guilty when, in fact, they weren't. If your constitutional rights are gone, they're never coming back. Now, I want you to know I'm dedicated in helping you bring control of your government back to you. Now, I know firsthand how you feel when your elected officials betray you and how much of a disappointment it is when your visions are ignored. Your voice doesn't count. If you believe, as I do, that the government has changed, that it now protects special interest groups, that your voice is not heard in Washington, and that we should return to government of the people, by the people, for the people, then please vote for me, Cliff Garska Sr., this coming election. Thank you for your time, and no matter how you vote, please remember to vote so that your voice can be heard. Thank you, and good night.